So today I'm going to teach you my method of shading on Microsoft Paint. But before we go any further, I would just like to say hi, Lyra. Welcome back, and as promised, I'm going to show you my technique for shading things in Microsoft Paint. So first of all, let's get out a shape that I'm going to be shading, and this is a hexagon, as you can see. I chose it because it's pretty simple. You can get more shapes at the top of the screen, close to the middle, but let's keep working with the hexagon, shall we? So, from here, I will usually fill it in with a color. Now, I don't pick just any random color from the color palette, but I do use that to decide what I'm going to be working with. So first, after I've chosen whether I'm going to be doing dark red, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, etc., etc., I go to the Edit Colors page. So right now we're going to work with red. Red seems alright. And so then I go to Edit Colors. Now then, after clicking that button, you get this screen. Now from here, since we're working with red, I will drop the green to 0 and the blue to 0, and I raise the red to 255. Then I fill it in from there. Whoops. So now we have a beautifully vibrant red. Now, in order to shade properly, we need to know where the light is coming from. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a circle, and that works good enough. And then I'm going to move it over here. Then I'm going to fill it in. Then I grab the pencil and I set the size of the pencil to the biggest that I can, and I go wah 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 wah. Draw the sun's rays. That way we know for a fact that that is actually a sun and not just some yellow circle. So now that we know which direction the sunlight is coming from, we can figure out how to make our hexagon properly shaded. So then, once again, we're going to go to the Edit Colors section, and as you can see, you have Loom. Now, what Loom means is it has to do with how bright your color is. So, for example, if I were to put it to 50, if I were to put it to 500, it defaults to 240. So if I put it to 50, it looks very dark. And if I were to put it at, say, 200, it looks pink, because that's basically what red is. It's white mixed with red. So let's go back to the starting point, shall we? And I'm going to start high. You know what? Yeah, let's start high. So I'm going to set it to 200 because that's what color the side that's facing the sun will be. Not exactly pink, but depending on how our eyes adjust and correct the color, that's what it might look like. Now, typically, I prefer to use my finger, which does have the problem with the smaller pencil sizes, in which it doesn't get quite as pixel perfect, which is very small of an issue in Microsoft Paint, but it is still an issue nonetheless. But if I don't really care about that, then again, that's not an issue. So then I fill it in. Then I take that same idea, I do it again, I go to Loom, and I drop it down. So right now it's at 190. I will adjust the height of the screen, and realize that there is a single pixel that is incorrect. Think. Now, readjusting the color once again, back to 190. Then I go back and I show off the reason why I prefer my finger over using. My finger tends to be a lot more stable. So then we fill it in. And it's a very subtle change. It takes a very trained eye to notice. But if you can't tell whether it has actually changed color or not, there is a trick to this. You will pick out one of the colors from before and fill it in. And if it only fills in the section that you tried to fill in and it doesn't fill in the whole thing, then you succeeded. Now, what would have happened if you had filled it if you had filled in the entire section incorrectly? Well, this is what would happen. So you fill it in the section with the same color as before, and let's say you want to try it out to see if you messed up or not. That's what happens. So we're going to drop this down another 10 lume, and as you can see, it gets just a little bit darker from here. You'll notice that I try to do things spontaneously, and I mess that up. Back to 180. It seems more like this red's going to be pink, so I might want to raise the colors a bit. You know what? That's a good idea. I'm going to take this, and instead of dropping it to 190, I'm going to drop it to 180. But this, if we do that, then this will be overlapped, so we're going to change this color to 160. So I tried to be spontaneous so that everything seems organic and natural, rather than having it be restricted by some things like logic or reason. That way, once again, it seems organic. It's not going to be restricted by anything. So this color was at 160. We're going to drop it to 140. And then draw the line right through the center here. I can just barely tell whether I actually did it. If I turn the screen forward, the line makes itself obvious, but if I turn it backwards, then it blends in with the surrounding area. But if we fill it in, that makes it a lot more obvious. So this next section is 120. So then we're going to drop it again to 100. Actually, in fact, you can see what I mean. If we select the red, the lume is 120. So we're going to drop it to 100. And then we're going to draw two lines for this one. The first line is to separate the previous line with the previous layer with the next. The second one is to define the next layer. And with this sort of thing, you don't have to worry about, it doesn't matter if you draw any loop-de-loops, as long as you go back and fill those back in. So like, as you can see, I drew a loop-de-loop there, and if I go back and fill it in, the one small chunk of red is still there, but I can still fill it in. So then, since we're dropping by increments of 20, we will drop this to 80, and then fill it in. Now, obviously, this particular method is not perfect. I'm pretty sure it won't cover. There are some sections of it that it doesn't perfectly cover. I haven't quite used it enough to find all the flaws and therefore correct all the flaws yet, though. So, since we've got a mildly shaded hexagon here, we can then come back and shade it again. So, we're going to select this pink over here, and this time we're going to work with increments of 10 instead of 20. So then we set that to 210, then we draw the line once again, and we fill it in. This is how I get my shading to be extra fine. Then we do this, we'll basically be dropping by 20, in increments of 20 again, but what we're basically doing is we're taking the color that was there before and raising it by 10. So like, this color right here is, if we split that in half, it's both 180 and 190, so we're going to layer that. I can't really tell the difference. Okay, that was, I don't know what happened there. So then I draw this, then I take the bucket and I fill it in. Looks like we're going to have to try the trick. I messed up there. Where did I mess up? Oh, it's not pixel perfect. Yeah. that is beautiful. So I'm going to wait until I've shaded this entire hexagon. And the hexagon is so beautifully shaded. I like that. So, from here we can do this with just about any shape, and we can also do it with basically any color. Now here I'm going to repeat the process, and we're going to do it with a circle this time. Set the color to black so that it looks black. And here we're not going to work with red, green, or blue because that's just too easy. So what I'm going to do instead is, first I'm going to deselect the circle so that it doesn't fill it, so that it doesn't change the color. Then I'm going to go over here, and here is a tip for you guys. If you mix the colors, the three colors, you can get just about any of the others. So for example, if you want red, well, you don't have red, if you want yellow, well, you don't have yellow in these three colors, but what you do have instead is the ability to combine red with green. So if you put red at 150, let's set it at 255 for now, and you put green at 255, you get solid yellow. Now, if you do the same thing with green and blue instead, you get cyan. If you do this with blue and red, I'm sure that anyone who's gone to school will probably know this, but if you mix blue and red, you'll get purple. But this doesn't exactly look, and this is a very bright purple. It's almost mistakable for pink or magenta even. And if you move the hue to, if you raise the hue, which moves the cursor a little to the right, then you do in fact get magenta. Magenta is purple and red mixed, just like how pink is red and white mixed. So anyway, if you do this, then you'll get more red than blue. But let's work with what we got for now. We've got red and blue. We're going to start out with purple and work our way from there. So then we fill this in. Then, since this circle is so close to the sun, we're going to start out with the top left part. So I'm going to start out with a loom of 140 this video, and then I'm going to fill that in. Looks kind of like a base. Oh, I almost messed up there. Fill that in. Looks kind of like a baseball. Then we're going to get out loom 100 and fill the right side in and call it a day. Alright, so what I want you guys to do is I want you to try this technique of shading out, since this ball is so close to the sun, if we just move it around with the select button, then we got a square. But if I were to turn on transparent selection, then we actually select the ball itself. Now here's the thing. With transparent selection, what it does, it basically blots out the color that is in your secondary slot. So if I were to draw a square around this circle, and let's do that right now. Yeah, let's actually draw a square this time, and set one of the reds as the outside of the circle. Mess up. Then we select it one more time, transparent selection. We move it over here. We move it over here. Looks like it doesn't work the way I was saying. If so, disregard what I was saying. Thank you for watching this video. If you would like, comment, share, and subscribe, that would be much appreciated. And I shall see you later. And now for bloopers. Hi guys, what's up? And today I am going to show you guys my technique on how to shade in Microsoft Paint. So today I'm going to teach you my method of shading things in Microsoft Paint. But first, before I go any further in this video, I would just like to show you. Say hi, Lyra.